Hey, what's up, y'all? Sorry, I hit that live button before I got my microphone going. I kind of got like the old school lapel thing going on. I haven't invested much in this venture. Anyhow, hope y'all are doing well. So, so anyhow, I was doing a little nightly scroll. I wasn't even gonna post tonight. Hey, what's up there, chica? I wasn't even gonna do a live stream tonight. I wanted to do one earlier, but we decided to play a pretty epic game of Uno. Super epic. We got 2 games deep, and little kiddos had to go home. We were watching some buddies, some friends' daughters. So we had a really good time. I had a really good time with family. But as we're kind of sitting down, we just put the kids down. My wife and I kind of just doing our thing, going to bed. I saw this whole Wayfair thing with the children and the whole sex trafficking thing, because I wanted to get to something that I need to do in my life as I'm growing in the Lord and starting to grow like from the home outward, and that is like the structures, right? So kind of got into this venture. Like, again, the purpose is to establish the home, right? That we're growing. Everything that we do is from the home and for the home. We start to think consistently about the home, but built on God's promises and structures and commands, right? And so that can sound cool, but it can sometimes feel like, well, where do I start? And so one thing that I'm just trying to do is consistently read the Old Testament and learn them, right? Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Especially Leviticus and Deuteronomy can learn so much about God's structure for humanity, and you can apply it to your house. It's super, super simple. We'll get to that. Excuse me. And it's becoming just more and more important, right? You obviously can't trust in the church, or we can't. That structure is minimized and definitely has lost its influence. We're going to start to see it, it's just another system that's existing, and it's not going to have much more fruit with it. So we have to really take the initiative. We have to see what's going on and take the initiative, again, in our home, and put the church and that structure in our home. But it's up to us to take that initiative, because I just saw that whole Wayfair thing with the children, and we got to open our eyes, man. This stuff's real, dude. We're in some dark times. Like, is it dark? People are very confused. A lot of people lack a lot of purpose. People lack a lot of guidance, and then you just kind of see our kids are super dark. You even see, well, it's obvious, man. Look at the Wayfair thing. Just that's dark, and if that's your first exposure to it, man, there's so much more. You gotta keep paying attention, because that shit's out there, man. This world, man, it wants to just destroy our children. And it's up to us as men to establish the home structure, right, properly. What's up, Tony? Jose, my cousin. It's up to us to really establish the home, because, again, the church Sunday, the state will let you meet, then you can meet. Some churches are resisting, and that's good. But here's what I wanted to say, because as I'm learning to grow in my faith, and I'm growing in what God is, the structures He's putting in my home, we've started with just consistently reading, right? And making my kids read a certain portion of scripture starting at the beginning of the week and keeping them accountable during the week. And then my wife and I need to be better at practicing the Sabbath, just setting a time aside, a day out of the week, to rest, acknowledge, and give thanks for everything that God is doing in our lives. And, let that structure continue to bless our home. But then also, as a man, like, moving forward, this is something that I want to try to call people to. So when you think of a king, right, you think of someone super strong, like, think Lord of the Rings, right? Think the dude, the dude with the black hair, I can't remember his name. Aragorn, I think. You just think someone strong, just crush, right? And that's true. There's a lot of strength, and anybody's gonna be a king. But I want to point to what God, in this holy book, the really good structure, gives you really good guidance on how to lead your home. I want you to see what God requires of a king. And He has some requirements of what a king's not to do, and it's essentially to be worldly. You could read that in Deuteronomy chapter 17, verses 14 through 17. It talks about what the king shouldn't do. Essentially, he shouldn't hook up with a bunch of women. His ambition should not be to be rich. But look what he's supposed to do. And it shall be, when the king sits on the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write for himself a book from there before the priest of the Levites. So he is supposed to take God's law and just write it. Think about that. We usually think of king as someone who's just conquering and strength, right? God is requiring that man to write the law down, right? And to memorize it. And then look what it's for. And it shall be within him, and he shall read it all the days of his life. That way he may learn. So here we go. First, the king is supposed to write it down and then learn, to continue to learn it. He learns to fear the Lord, right? And he's careful to serve the Lord and serve the words of the law and all the statutes. So that structure right there keeps the king on track. And that's how we keep our homes on track. Simple, yet very, they're great structures. They're simple, but yet they're challenging. That's the word I'm looking for. But they're super rewarding. Again, go to Deuteronomy 28. After God is done speaking, he talks about the blessings that will reside upon you. And then it has nothing to do with worldliness. It's from God. Like pandemic, who are really calm, and they have this strength and just not even, they're just crushing right through it. That's because the peace of God, men who are walking have not shed an ounce of fear over this pandemic and the things that they're going through. They've gotten wise. I became very intentional of like, okay, I need to put my family in a better situation because the city's insane and I don't need to be involved in the city. So these are the certain basic structures that we start to put in our home, man, and God, things will change. Things will change, and we will then start functioning under God's commands. Start to reside upon you. And it's your homework. Go read Deuteronomy 28 and learn what those are and the cursings. And and then look what it says. And his heart may not be lifted above his brethren. So we also say it keeps him humble. Right? That's awesome. Humility is an amazing thing. And that he may not turn aside from the commandments, neither to the right nor to the left. And the Lord will prolong his days in his kingdom, and he and his children in the midst of Israel. Dude, that is such a beautiful promise. And as we as parents, we as men especially, start to establish those structures in our home, allow them to continue forward, and we can navigate, man, and guide ourselves through this crazy world, because it's crazy. And remember this, everything about the world, like Jesus says you can't serve him and serve the world. Like they do. That's why another reason church isn't a very compromised spot. Its whole intention is to save the lost. The Bible never called us to save the lost. It called us to repent and to disciple. And the church has put all of its marbles into to bring in the lost, right? Consumed by the lost. And more. And so it's really important you as men start to establish your home, bless and strengthen your home through his laws, his commandments, and all that good stuff. What's up, Fernando? How you doing, man? Thumbs up, brother. Tony, I see you, baby. I caught some of your live videos. I get on really quick this evening and share some encouraging words before I do some. But yeah, brain fart. But that's my challenge to you guys. So start writing, man. I'm getting a journal. Actually, I got myself a good little binder, and I'm just gonna start rewriting the book of Deuteronomy. So those are 3 structures that now I've established in my home under his law. The first is a constant reading of the Proverbs and Psalms. Not every day. I don't put these crazy rituals, but the other is starting to observe the Shabbat, the Sabbath, just God during the week. And third, now I'm going to apply certain principles that God mandated on the kings and the priests. I'm starting applying them to me, because the Bible is very clear that we are now the kings and priests of our home, right? Little k, little p, but we are nonetheless the kings and the priests of our home, and it's our job to develop it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. The goal again is to lead my brethren, lead my family, and keep crushing. We should know this week if we close, we get our appraisal back on our property in Arkansas, and then we'll know pretty soon, man, our timeline of when we're going out there. So I'll keep all of y'all in the loop on that, because it's gonna be a blessing, man. I can't wait. I see the church or a house of worship as a sacred cow, at least for now. I see the people that trying to keep the system. The church itself, right? The book of Hebrews says, don't forsake the assembling of the saints. So the structure of gathering is definitely a necessity. But the way they gather is definitely a sacred cow, because if you notice, if you even notice them, every contradiction that they give, they do their best to give an excuse of how what they're doing is still church. And it's not, man. It's not. And I'll tell you the reason why too. It's not. I guess it is, but there's just too much compromise when it's in the corporate structure right now. And yeah, pastors are gonna have a difficult time because they're doing their best to keep their sheep together. Like if you were really like shepherding people and you would not convince people to just follow you digitally. That's stupid. No offense. You guys are following me digitally, but I'm not your lead pastor. I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket and try to just keep people on a stream. And then I've been behind these closed door meetings. Okay, how do we keep people tithing? You're right. Because think about it, Tony. You're right, dude. It is such a sacred cow. Because think about the humility. Like, we've gone to the same church, and there's people who are in that church, and they say, I built this with my hands. And look, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your work. You did great in your time, but you served God in an era, and God has shifted. Those buildings mean nothing. As a matter of fact, Tony, I even think they're stumbling blocks now. I think people are so obsessed, and I think you just see the church doing its best to keep them alive. My argument is this, dude. I've come out of churches where they need to make $400,000 in salary. 400. That's before they can say, hey, we're going to take care of a widow and orphan. Dude, now what are they doing? No one's showing up weekly. They don't see the signs and say, hey, men, we need to establish you. No, they want to keep their income. And I don't think the pastors are up there like, ooh, I got to keep my money and keep my income. It's just the nature of compromise. You compromised once you became, right? It is insane. You compromised once your goal was to save the lost. Because now you sold out on your congregation. You told your congregation it's about them, not you, because you guys should grow. You're going to be good, but we can't have a service that offends the non-believer. And now look at the non-believer. Man, they are fully offending us, and they don't give a crap, dude. And that's the compromise. They want, people to keep coming. Not me, dude. Like, honestly, man, I don't care. I care that people listen to me, and I care my word gets out, and I'm very humbled that people, gather with me and we worship the Lord together. I love it. But at the end of the day, like, my goal is only to bring my family into God's covenants and promises. And yes, he's giving me a voice. He's giving me a little bit of boldness. And so I try to share with you guys and to help y'all, because I want to see every one of you men doing the same thing in your home. And that when we meet up, it's not me teaching or another man teaching another man. It's 2 men, 3 men, or 4 families sharing with one another over a beautiful meal, giving thanks for what God has done in their lives, and asking for some advice if some need it. Man, I spent 3 hours yesterday with a good buddy. We literally went through 8 chapters of the book of Hosea. And it was just like this. This is what I do like about the live stream. And one thing I do enjoy opening up my Bible and chatting with you guys, because it's never like I got to prepare some kind of cool message. It's just, hey, I've had this thought, some biblical stuff. Here's something I've learned over the week, and I get to share with you guys. And I love that because it allows us to be free, and like people can bring up thoughts and we can discuss them. And that's how it should be. And I love it like in person when we gather. It's so, I don't like to use the word rewarding, but it is rewarding. And it's a blessing, honestly. You find it in Deuteronomy 28, and it's awesome. But it takes us men, we have to establish these structures because our flesh doesn't really want it. Like, we want to chill, we want to do our thing, and we don't want to put in that extra work, but it's up to us. Because the churches are a sacred cow, and you're going to listen to pastors who are going to do their best to convince you still need to be there. When in fact, they need to be on their knees wondering or asking God for guidance of how to transition out of this new season. Because they put themselves in a bind, right? Most of them are in debt. That's another thing. That's another thing where we're big against debt, is because when you're in debt, it's harder to stand firm. Because you're like, well, I can get a little more money. You can negotiate with yourself because that debt's haunting. And so pastors, man, I feel for y'all. I'm very fortunate I never got into the place where I had my life and my income was based upon a church salary. Because I don't know, I'm pretty sure I would leave. I'm pretty sure I would take an axe to the sacred cow, and my family and I would be looking for additional income. And God always provides. But yeah, man, but they need to. They need to. And then they'll catch flack. And that's the hard part, right? Like, you see the times, you're like, well, maybe I should, but you don't want the flack. And that's where the compromise then kind of, the snowball of compromise continues to grow, right? You don't want your brother to, oh, you're dumb. You shouldn't sell your building and get rid of it. Yeah, sell it. Why don't you sell that mega $1 million building, right? Get yourself out of debt and help your congregation out. Maybe there's a lot of your congregation in debt. And why don't you help them get out of debt? And why don't you cast a vision of buying some land in a rural area? Debt is so anti-Christian. Dude, the Bible's so clear. It says the debtor is a slave to the lender. And it says, don't shake hands with your brother, like in a deal, like don't get in debt with your brother. It even says if you get into debt with your brother, go and beg to get released from your contract. So yeah, it's very unchristian. But think about if pastors would do that. Say, you know what, let's just sell the building. You know, I got $200,000 in debt. My building's probably got millions of dollars of equity. Get out of debt. Let's get some congregations out of debt. Let's give a path into some land where we can gather and start honoring God and his structures and commands. Because this city, you think you're going to continue reaching people and saving through the city? You're crazy, dude. The city is about to consume you. Read the book of Genesis. And I'm going to pound this, dude, because it's true. The situation with Lot. Lot was a godly man. He was spared, right, from the wrath of God. But what did he do? He sat on the fence. He tried to get political. That's what that means. He got political and thought he could change Sodom and Gomorrah through the political system. But what happened? When God showed up to judge and said, hey, skedaddle. He wasn't in no place. His son-in-laws died, right? His wife died. He barely got his daughters out. And the angels were like, dude, you need to run. And the gay people, the LGBT of his time, they were trying to rape him. And his angel servants. It's gnarly, dude. But that's where the church is at. You can't. It's a worldly system. You're a pilgrim passing through. Recognize this is not your home. Get out of debt. Start repenting now. Be honest, dude, and God will bless your honesty. That's another thing, too, why people are starting to see the fakeness of the church, right? People are starting to see the fakeness of the church. 'Cause I'll tell you right now, I don't believe we ever went to the moon, right? And I don't believe the earth is a globe, right? And I do believe the synagogue of Satan resides, and Zionism is a deception. I don't care. I'll say all those things. You know how many Reformed pastors I know believe everything I just said? They may challenge me on the moon, but you know how much they agree with me on everything else, but they won't say it publicly. You know why? Because people would leave their church. That's who you want to follow them. But people see that. People feel that fakeness. Like, you guys can walk with me and be like, oh, yeah, he rambles, he does his thing, he may say something off the wall, but you know what, dude? But you know what? I'm just honest, and I'm bringing you guys on a journey. God has called me to do something crazy. Sell everything I have. Go buy land in a state I have no family, no ties to. Just go and learn to live off the land. Yeah. You know? So I'm like, well, Lord, this is a crazy thing that you're calling me to do. And then I feel like he's like, hey. And I got totally inspired by Owen Benjamin. And it's like, hey, I'm going to invite you guys to join this with me. Because this is something. God is doing something. And I believe the path is for you guys. You know, I would encourage you guys. I know Tony's all about this. I would encourage a lot of you guys, whoever hear this, look up Owen Benjamin, dude. Look up what's called the Beartaria, and give your mind blown. That's how you need to think. You think protesting is going to get you anywhere? It's got black community. It's stuck in a cycle. As a matter of fact, they lost all their income from the 60s, and they've been in that same cycle for 80 years now. Protesting is just a waste of your time. Turn your back on the world and turn it to God, and go listen and follow his commandments and watch him do something totally crazy and amazing in your life. It's like a party planning community. Yes. Dude, sometimes I watch the NASA videos and I'm just so blown away how fake they are, dude. And I get it, dude, like in the 80s and 90s when photography was suspect. But now, dude, it's crazy. It is so crazy to look at those photos. Like, that's not real, dude. That looks like I'm watching what's that movie? Shoot, I can't think of it. The big white dude. It's like the Thor before Thor. Shoot, I can't think of it. I keep wanting to say Jim Jupiter, but I know it's from the Bundys. Oh well. Oops, that was loud. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But anyhow. But yeah, so people, and I know you guys want genuineness. Like, that's why I'm watching men who like the church would label a lot of the men that I listen to, oh, those aren't godly men. But I'm like, dude, no, they're so godly. They're leading you down the path of godliness. They don't hold your standards, but they promote God's they promote simple things, dude. They promote 3 basic structures, right? Family, home, and land. Family, home, and land. You get to see all 3. They get to see, those 3 structures are God's. Seriously, he gave Adam a family, right? He gave him a home, which was the garden, and he gave him a ton of land. And he told him to work. Dude, that's epic. And that's what God has given us. Now start from there. Work your way out of there, just like he did with Adam and Eve. And know the same crap that came on Adam and Eve are coming to you. But anyhow, if you really want to follow honest men, and that's what I'm saying to a lot of pastors behind closed doors, they believe different stuff and they won't. And that's fine, but they won't say it publicly. And what bothers me is they'll post stuff on me, picking on me, but those dudes won't speak up. they just want to be funny. Oh, you're doing that, and they'll you believe in this. Like, I know what you believe behind closed doors. It's all right. That's why your congregation is going to shrink, and people will continue to listen to me. The people who you say don't belong in your church, they will continue to listen to me, and they will grow closer to God because we're pointing them that way. We are teaching them about simple structures of God, how he looks at them and what he requires of them. And you're going to see that continue to grow. Because every one of you men who are following me, I know you're tired. And I know that you guys want the rest, and you want that manhood that you know is out there. And it comes from the Bible, dude. And that's like the deception, right? People think, oh, well, a man is a badass. And we admire mafiosos, and we admire, gangsters, and because we think that's manly. But just like in the beginning of the stream, when I was talking about a king, we think a king's this great warrior. But God's like, no, a king is a man who knows my law and leads people in it, right? And a strong man, dude. Jesus says the meek will inherit the earth. Meek is strength under control. You ever get in a situation, a lot of you guys from the hood, you ever get in that situation and you're about to throw down and there's a group of people and you just keep your eye on the quiet dude, right? You're like, that's the badass of their group. That's the dude I need to somehow get because that's the fighter. The dude who's doing all this, we already know he's just a barker. And so that's a man. And that comes from biblical structures. Like, imagine telling your homies, like, no, I'm going to go home. Why? Because I'm going to spend some time with my kids. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to write God's law. What? That's gay. Come get drunk with me. Nah, not today. You're starting to teach and show strength to your kids, priority to your kids. And that stuff, dude, starts to mount up. And Satan will attack it. He'll come and try to bring you down. But remember this, Satan and all, whatever you want to spin on it, he can only get you from your influences, right? Whatever you like, whatever you're lusting over, you have to consent. He can't make you do anything. Every time we stumble, it's over consent. Over consent. It's never out of accident. I accidentally sinned. No, I didn't accidentally watch a porno. I got to that intentionally. And that was my fault. That's because I let that stuff live. But back to being a man, because I know you cats, you're listening to me, dude. And I know getting fame, all that stuff's fun. And I know what we're all trying to accomplish. We're trying to establish something. But you know what, dude? There's something great. Like me, I'm going to establish something. I'm going to plant trees that I'll never eat fruit from. All right? That's my goal. Like my family, as we go east and we go farm, hopefully sooner rather than later. But that's the goal, man. I am doing all of this for the future because the cities are dead. And I know God wants to continue to bless my family with his promises. And I'm putting the proper structures in place, dude. That way, in the future, my grandkids will be eating from apple trees that I planted. I won't. Nope. But they're going to think back, dude, my father obeyed the commands of the Lord, my grandfather. Nah, dog, you're not on a downfall at all right now. You're not, brother. You're in an awakening. I get you, though. You got to DM me. Let's chat. But, dude, your downfall, dude, God is showing you how much you need him right now. It sucks. It's painful. Dog, it's painful. I know. But God is showing you. That's why you like listening to me, dude. You hear the truth. It's not me. It's, I'm pointing to the one who's going to bring you back up the hill. Remember this, brother, that in the downhill, dude, that in the valley, God is there. But he's showing you that you need him, brother. He wants to bless you. Let me tell you something, another thing that God has done, dude. And this is another thing about where I'm going, dude. I told my wife, I would love to help out an old homie. I got an old homie I've known since kindergarten. He's stuck on meth. And I told Claudia, you know what I would love to do? You know what I would totally love to do? Is take him out there. Let him sober up on my ranch. Let him help me build a fence, reestablish his manhood, right? And then just start to work on him and let him work and separate himself from the world. And that, man, that's something too, Taz, you need. We need to talk because that stuff can help us clear our mind. Because sometimes, bro, like, and I know some of you guys know I got stoned for a while, even as I was speaking, but I don't anymore. And it's not because I'm against weed. It's because what I noticed is because it would make me like, I would be content with removing my responsibilities. I just get stoned. I can't do that. Oh, it's fun. But I understood that, yeah, this technically is not a sin. Okay, fine. But you know what it is? It's prohibiting me from moving forward. And we have to sometimes make those hard decisions. But my buddy's probably going to go with me to Arkansas in about a month. We're going to close escrow, and he's going to help me build. So he's going to help me lay some floors in our new house. And when I say what I got in Arkansas, I want you guys to know something. It's my wife and I did not put a lot of money into this, and it's there for you guys. It has nothing to do with like me and my wife did some amazing thing with a bunch of money. It just go and do and watch God work. You know, because I believe he wants all of you guys to leave the city and to establish your families personally. But it's going to take a step of faith from all of y'all. It's going to take a step of faith from all of y'all because it's comfortable and there's a lot of pleasure in the city. And, you know, to forsake that is man, to forsake that takes guts. And then we have our homies laughing at us. What are you going to do? For me, it kind of plays on to me. People think, oh, you're becoming a redneck. And for those of you who don't know, all my homies are essays, Mexicans. And what's up, Lillian? How you doing? So I get teased, but I like it. But they'll say, oh, you just get into your redneck roots. Like, absolutely. But it's red Mexican to you, essay. I think Taz knows exactly what I'm talking about, my cuñado. But yeah, man, in my home, dude, gonna do construction on my home. It's a small little property. It's in the rural area of Arkansas. Out there and sober up my homie and establish him. And I know God wants that for all of you guys because he's calling people because the home structure is screwed up. It's just decimated. And look what the church, here's another thing where, and I'm not trying to pick on the church. I just want you guys to understand the weaknesses of it. Northwest, brother. I'll tell you the exact location offline. But here's the part where the mental like distortion or the broken approach, should I say, not mental distortion, that's weird. I don't know where it's going with that. The broken approach to the Sunday gathering. Thing is, they bring their kids to be, and that's cool. You want to have people disciple. That's awesome, Lillian. I see that too, that you're helping Jeff. That's great. I encourage you to listen to all the stream though. But they tell people, you know, bring your kids, and parents are content with their kids just getting youth group once a week. And they feel like that is discipleship for their home. And no, brothers, sisters, what we need to do is all needs to start at home. I know Lillian Alley, but Lillian, I know she can attest to it. You know, we still got to teach her a little, but she grew up with a father around the family first. And the fruit of it. They're very godly young women. And they represent the Lord right. No, not like a job at all, Fernando. It's nothing like that at all, brother. It's rehabilitating. It's just rehabilitating my friends. Like my buddies, like I've watched my father lose everything. He can't sober up in a city because it's just too difficult. And my buddy's not going to sober up. Yeah, he has a great model. Owen's got a great model for an ideal home. Like the yurts. Is that what you're talking about, the yurts? I'm all in on one, dude. I told my buddy Brandon's his name, my buddy. I told him, we're going to go up there and you're going to build a yurt in the corner of my acreage. That way you can live there and not bother me. But that's the goal. But all that's there for you guys. I would encourage you, man, about a thing called Bertaria, Bear Trail, because we can all pitch in on this too. And we can buy a bunch of land. And we can conquer a lot through small bites, right? Like what if we bought like 10 acres, right? And then each of y'all got half an acre is a lot of property. And you just had a small yurt on it, a small function thing to live. It's a little bit of money. Right? Let's just say you fork out 5 to 10 grand over the 15 grand over the life of it. But now you have a home with no debt and you can raise your family according to God's law, structures, and commands. That's a blessing, dude. And that's faith. That though causes us to sacrifice. But dude, our grandchildren, actually our children, and then our grandchildren, dude, they will reap the benefits. And God, it says, dude, Jesus is super clear. He says, if you lift up my commandments, you'll be great. Right at the end of chapter 5 of Matthew. You lift up his commandments, you'll be great. God will honor that stuff. Yeah, dude, the real revolution is absolutely turning our backs to the world and starting families. We've been told not to have more, it's too expensive to have kids. No, it's not. It's expensive to go to school. It's like $200-something thousand to go to school. My kids are cheap. Hell, I buy them 2 tacos from Jack in the Box and they're full. It's $1. You know, I kid. But, I mean, if it gets tough, Top of Ramen is like 50 cents, man. Y'all know what's up. Spreads for the home. Kids are not expensive. The world is expensive. You know, you don't have to buy your kids all the expensive stuff. You raise your kids according to the world. It's funny though, huh? You can't afford kids. Yes, you can. You got to go to school. No, I can't afford to go to school. Talking about that, that's debt for life. Even if I go bankrupt, I keep that debt. Now I'm begging the government. I'm willing to vote in a mental wreck of Bernie Sanders to clear my debt. That's crazy. The compromise. But anyhow, y'all, this has been fun. Financial security is a wizard's spell. That's right. Jesus says he'll provide all of our needs according to his glory. But remember, it's lifting him up. A lot of people will say, well, God's going to provide for me. Ask in my name and you shall receive. Yeah, but Jesus said that to the people. He said, deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me. He didn't say to the dude rocking all the glamour, the Kanye West Christianity. That's another thing. That's another spell is, yeah, dude, Fernando, getting yourself a job. Yeah, dude, we'll talk more. But that's another spell is like the whole thing with like Kanye West. That just keeps mainstream Christianity stuck on entertainment, and they think they got their black man who's going to lead all the blacks to the Republican Party and they're going to win and never lose a vote. If it does, it does. But just don't attach him to Christianity. The dude just made a worship. Get this through. Christians are rolling around bumping one of his new songs, and the dude has a Satanist drummer. All right, what's his name? Travis Scott. A dude who is a self-proclaimed Satanist. Christianity, you gotta love it. Very, very convenient. But I don't want to pick on it. I only point it out because I want you guys to see the weakness in it and the strength that lies in you. And that as men, you got to just take up that role, and we just got to move forward. Anyhow, it's 10:15, y'all, 10:16. This has been fun. I can honestly keep going and going and going. I'm going to do another one tonight, probably around 7 o'clock. We'll chat some more. But hey, thank you guys so much for your time. But yes, Fernando, we'll talk more about giving cats a window to come work on my ranch so they can sober up and get their mind right, but also get off my ranch. I want to raise my family in peace, all right? But it is my ranch, and I can probably kill you and bury you. Not you, but if someone acted up, and nobody would ever know. But anyhow, I kid. I love you guys, man. I'm super. They're not scared of me. My wife said, don't scare y'all off. Anyhow, love you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your Sunday night. Enjoy your Monday. Be thankful. And know that the things coming your way are not by accident. God has a plan for every one of you, all right? Keep crushing, y'all. Take care. I don't even know how to turn this thing off. Oh, there we go.